Hello candles, welcome to Candler Learnings. This is Sudharma, your very own social science super tutor. Today we will be discussing the formation of new factories in different parts of India, the early entrepreneurs of India and the peculiarities of industrial growth, etc. We now know that many factories throughout the world began to operate as a result of the industrialization process. So, let's learn a small history of factories in India. I will start at present day Mumbai. That means the old Bombay. The first cotton mill in Bombay came up in 1854 and it started its production 2 years later, that means in 1856. Around the same year, jute mills came up in Bengal. The first jute mill was set up in 1855 and another one in 1862. In North India, Elgin Mill was set up in the 1816. It was a textile mill set up by the British. Later, in Ahmedabad, the western part of India, a cotton mill was set up in 1861. In 1874, the first spinning and weaving mill of Madras began production. See, several industries began operating in the 19th century. Who set up the industries? Where did the capital come from? Who came to work in the mills? Let's find out the answers to these questions. So, starting with the first question. Who set up the industries? Actually, the industries were set up in different regions. It was formed by various people. Many Indians joined the opium trade in the 19th century when it first began. They handled the finances, brought the materials, and shipped the goods. Beyond that, some businessmen had visions of developing industrial enterprises in India. For example, in Bengal, Dwaraknath Tagore, not the name, Dwaraknath Tagore started 6 joint companies in the 1830s and 1840s. In Bombay, Parsis like Dinshaw Petit and Jamshedji Nusarwanji Tata built huge industrial empires in India. They were involved in the shipping of raw cotton to England and exports to China. There was another person whose name was Seth Hukum Chand. See, he was a Marwari businessman. The Marwari people are business owners from the Marwar area of northern India. They were traders during the Rajput era and subsequently took part in India's industrialization. They currently hold ownership in some of India's leading business groupings and businesses such as Aditya Birla, Idea Cellular, even the Flipkart, which are very familiar to us. See, Said Hukum Chand set up the first Indian jute mill in Calcutta in 1917. The capital was accumulated through other trade networks. Some merchants from Madras traded with Burma, while others had links with the Middle East and East Africa. Gradually, the colonial control over Indian trade tightened, as well as the role of Indian merchants became limited. Instead, until the First World War, the Indian industries were controlled by European managing agencies. Three of the biggest ones were Bert Hillers and Company, Andrew Yule, and Jardine Skinner Company. These agencies mobilized capital and set up joint stock companies and managed them. In fact, the European merchant industrialists had their own chambers of commerce which Indian businessmen were not allowed to join. Okay, the next question is, where did the workers come from? See, factories needed workers, right? With the expansion of factories, the demand for workers increased. In most industrial regions, workers came from the districts around. Over 15% of workers in the Bombay cotton industries in 1911 came from the neighboring districts of Ratnagiri. In Kanpur mills, the workers came from the districts of Kanpur. When the news of employment spread, workers travelled great distances in the hope of working in the mills. The number of people looking for work was always greater than the number of jobs available. Entry into the mills was also restricted. At that time, industrialists employed a jobber to get new recruits. The jobber, a person with some authority, is used to assist traders in recruiting labor. His responsibility was to provide employment for both workers and industrialists. He was formally an experienced and reliable employee. He began controlling the lives of workers. See, now coming to the next topic, which is the peculiarities of industrial growth. See, the European managing agencies which dominated industrial production in India were interested in certain kinds of products. They established tea and coffee plantations and they invested in mining, indigo and jute. Such products are required primarily for export trade and not for sale. During the late 19th century, the early cotton mills in India produced coarse cotton yarn rather than fabric. The yarn produced in Indian spinning mills was used by handloom weavers in India or exported to China. See, then here comes a question. That is, why did Indian industrialists switch from producing yarn to producing cloth? If you want to answer the question, then you have to go back to the Swadeshi movement. As the Swadeshi movement gathered momentum, nationalists mobilized people to boycott foreign cloth. The industrial groups organized themselves to protect their interest and pressurized the government to increase tariff protection and grant other concessions. In 1906, the export of Indian yarn to China declined because the Chinese markets were flooded with the goods produced by Chinese and Japanese factories. So, industrialists in India began shifting from yarn to the cloth production. Cotton piece goods production in India doubled between 1900 and 1912. Now, coming to the last question of the session. That is, how did the cotton export from Britain declined after the First World War. See, till the First World War, industrial growth was slow. The British mills were busy with war production to meet the needs of the army. Later, Manchester's imports into India declined. Indian mills had an important domestic market to supply. See, war items were quite important in such a circumstance. Over the war years, industrial production boomed. Because following the war, Britain was never able to recapture its previous dominance in the Indian market. Britain was unable to compete with the economies of Germany, Japan, and the US after the war. Gradually, exports of cotton and cloth from Britain declined. So, candles, this is how we have to look into the development of factories in India and also the main investors in India during the colonial period. We have also learned how the export of cotton from Britain declined. That's everything for now. In the subsequent session, we will proceed to the chapter's final session. Until then, bye-bye.